The FNAF series has some crazy tech, far beyond anything that should have been possible when the game takes place. However, the unrealistic nature never stopped us from being in awe of these technological advancements, and while the doors may not work properly, those goddamn doors, or we may not know the complete timeline, we can still look at their tech and what would be horrible to have in real life. And that's what we're exploring today. Greetings gamers and welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm Connor Monroe and this is the Top 10 Scary FNAF Inventions. Let's do it. An intense circus baby. Let's start things off simple with one of the deadliest animatronics in the games. Baby has a death count of 2, the first being Elizabeth, William's daughter, and the other being Henry as we see in FNAF World. But it's not just the ability to kill that's crazy, it's the incredibly advanced technology that resides inside the animatronic that's impressive. The ability to contain a whole child-grabbing claw and also a containment chamber for said kid is pretty damn impressive. But also the ability to use pins on her body to change her appearance is also pretty insane. Not to mention all of her other features like ice cream dispensing and balloon inflating at her fingertips. But all of this is again overshadowed by the absolute carnage Baby has the ability to cause. And honestly, that's probably the tip of the iceberg, not even including the Fazbear Frights versions too. And at 9 mini arenas. Why are the mini arenas so damn creepy? Like, they're not like scary per se, but they literally tear Ballora to pieces, so that's something at the very least. The mini arenas are basically the robotic versions of those kids in your neighborhood that are always screaming or causing trouble at all hours of the day. They go to the nearby school too, so you always have to deal with them. Or they run down the street when you knock on their door to see their older brother, and then their family is so damn lazy that you have to take off after them instead, so you end up chasing a toddler who's wearing nothing but a diaper down the street at 11 in the morning, catch him in front of your other friend's house, and then have the kid pulling at your hair and punching and kicking all the way back to his house. And then you don't even get a thank you. Sorry, did I just say all of that out loud? Yeah, well, my old neighbors were trash and didn't actually care about their family, so sorry about the rant. But that's what the mini arenas remind me of, except they can kill me, or stuff themselves into my body while I sleep in order to escape the underground storage facility. And at 8, Nightmare Animatronics. While not the epitome of horror, the Nightmare Animatronics are certainly not the nicest of fellows. Not only that, but they are in fact not real, they're an illusion, which makes them even more terrifying if you ask me. Because not only do these illusions cause horrific visions to anyone who knows about them, but they also can kill a coma patient. Crying Child, as we know, is in the hospital in FNAF 4, making this game just a nightmare. However, getting caught by one of these animatronics causes him so much stress that he actually dies, which is absolutely insane when you look at it like that. These are so scary to him that it just gives him a heart attack, or just makes his heart stop working, since we know that's what happens instead of brain death, thanks to the flat line at the end of the game. It's horrible and incredibly sad. And at 7, the Scooper. Now I know you may be mad and think that this is a stupid point, but hear me out. The Scooper may seem like a weird but normal thing, at least by FNAF standards at first. But with the blueprint revealing how this thing actually works, it's an incredible piece of technology. It can inject whatever it ends up scooping with Remnant, a molten metal possessed by souls, and assuming my theory about Michael being a robot is wrong, keep a person alive after removing their insides, replacing it with robot parts, and then having those robot parts leaving that body. In essence, making that person just a walking case of flesh, unless it didn't actually remove anything and instead just opened him up. But then it would still require some serious juice to keep alive. That's damn impressive, but also terrifying, because while he may look more like he's bruising, if the purple in Michael's skin is actually decay, that remnant injector is able to animate a dead corpse, in essence creating zombies, which would then start the zombie apocalypse. And that's been done to death, no pun intended, so you should all understand how bad of an idea that is. Zombie apocalypses aren't good. Especially animatronic-fueled zombie apocalypses created by intense agony-possessed metal that gets injected into someone's no-no square. And at 6, Fetch. Fetch was introduced in the Fazbear Frights books and is a robotic dog made by Fazbear Inc. that gets a little too loving. So much so that it will actually brutally murder the girl you want to ask to homecoming. Sorry, Peter, but at least you won't have to feel bad about sending her dad to prison. Either way, a robotic dog that will kill anything you love is absolutely horrifying and should be taken care of as soon as possible. But in all seriousness, could you imagine if this thing was real? Like, if you randomly started getting texts from a robotic dog that followed you home, that instead of bringing you dead birds or squirrels, instead brings you the bloody arm of your crush. That sounds like something the Winchesters would end up dealing with. Or that would be on some like other really weird CW show that like it's how they find like the body in one of those crime shows like Bones. Like this robotic dog just found this rotting arm and put it on my bed. That's like Palant levels of crazy. If you know, you know. Halfway through into number 5, the Twisted Ones. Well, the Twisted Ones certainly do seem to live up to their name. The Twisted animatronics are these horribly disfigured creatures that get no love from their mother like an ugly duckling. The thing is, they don't grow into swans. Instead, they use another bit of tech that I'll get into later to disguise themselves. They also dig deep into the ground and wait until the middle of the night to crawl out and take kids who wander away from their mommies. This legit sounds like an urban legend that parents would tell their kids to make sure they stay home. I mean, like, I don't really know what else to say. It's twisted. They're horrifying. I don't want this. I don't want this. No. No. In at 4, human robots. This is something I'm sure some people won't think is scary, but hey, the fact that there are robots that are actually able to look like humans is horrifying. That's like such a scary thing. Like in the original FNAF novel trilogy, spoiler alert I guess, it's revealed that Charlotte, the main protagonist of the books, is in fact one in a series of robots meant to allow her to grow up properly after being killed at an early age. But not only is she a robot, apparently she's also baby. At least from what I remember reading about the books, Charlotte's robot was also able to look like Baby thanks to the pins on her body that I mentioned before, at least when I was talking about Circus Baby. Yeah, that's the epitome of horror. Who in their right mind could think of a concept like that? And if it was real, we would all be goners. Like imagine the fembots from Austin Powers. That's basically this, and then all the down bads would be trying to give it to them, and then they'd get themselves scooped. I'm surprised it didn't happen in the actual novels, since that one guy had his gears turning, if you know what I mean. And if you do, can you please explain it to me? Because I'm not quite sure that even I understand what I was saying there. Getting close to the end in number 3, Lonely Freddy. Lonely Freddy already in a way has a parallel in our world. Well, kind of. It's like that trope where someone becomes your friend and becomes more like you and then tries to take over your life. I feel like that's a thing, but maybe I dreamt it like years ago and forgot that it was a dream. But also, just plain old identity theft is another version of Lonely Freddy. A Lonely Freddy was introduced in the Fazbear Frights books and is basically meant to explain what psychic friend Fredbear is. But a robot that steals your body and traps your consciousness into its original robot body? What the ever-loving hell? Like, why is that so goddamn terrifying, especially in concept? But what if this thing was actually real? Well, it's easy to say that we would just avoid them, but we wouldn't know that they exist. We would just be lonely kids dreaming about having friends when all of a sudden a robot wants to be our friend. It would be vicious, and it would definitely have gotten me when I was a kid. I'm being 100% real. Like, I legit wanted robot friends since they wouldn't end up turning on me at some point or something like that. I just wanted people to play games with, and if those people ended up being not people, but instead robots, that would have been fine with me. Except these would have taken over my body, so that would have been a bummer. But okay, but this begs the question, when you get put inside a Lonely Freddy, would you have the ability to take over another person's body? Like, would you be trapped in there permanently, or then do you get the powers of Lonely Freddy and have to become someone's friend so that you can take over their body? Either way, it's terrifying. And it's the Illusion Sound Disc. I mention these every chance I get because the implications of these discs are astounding. If you didn't already know, in the original FNAF novel trilogy, it was revealed that the Twisted animatronics used discs that changed how other people saw them, basically creating an illusionary appearance using sound emitted from the disc that messed with your brainwaves. However, the mere existence of these discs puts everything we know about the series into question. How do you know if anything we see is real? FNAF 1 had us hallucinate different things like it's me, along with multiple news clippings and posters. What if that was just the discs? And if it was, what if other things were changed by the discs as well? Like, is that what the pizzeria really looked like? Do the animatronics have more rotten appearances than we were first led to believe, given that they were leaking mucus and blood before being decommissioned at another establishment and then being refurbished? Maybe they weren't refurbished well, or at all. If this technology existed, I would have trust issues even more than I do now. Finally, and at number 1, spring locks. The spring lock mechanism is probably the most intuitive thing FNAF's world invented. The ability to move robotic parts out of the way enough for a human to fit inside is nuts. And while it may be dangerous, we also drive over 100 kilometers per hour in a huge metal death box, so we can't really complain. While yes, they have their faults, there is nothing compared to the ability to be both an animatronic and suit. That's an incredible feat of technology, yet also terrifying because of the same reasons in-game. Someone could dress in it and pretend to be a robot. It can clamp down on you at any second, as it has multiple times before. It can trap you. It could, if it were real, do everything we learn about from the books and the games. It would make your life hell for fun, especially when it can be a robot, and the man who was once inside it can smile knowing that you and all your friends can't fight off a huge hunk of metal. But also, like, I would never get in one of those things. Like, even if there just hadn't been an incident, I don't think, like, that seems like some Final Destination. I don't think I would do it, no matter how much they paid me. Well, actually, if they paid me enough, maybe. There we have it, friends, the top 10 scary FNAF inventions. What piece of tech from FNAF is the most terrifying to you, and why? Be sure you let me know down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been and shall remain Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video.